I want to start with a question that might make you uncomfortable. When you think about growing your practice, what's actually running through your head? Is it, how do I find more people who need what I offer? Or is it closer to, how do I get more people in the door so I can hit my revenue goals? Be honest with yourself, because the difference between those two questions is everything. Hey friends, welcome to the Thrive Advisor podcast, where we help small tax firm owners build practices that are actually sustainable and profitable. I'm Aaron Siegel. Today, I want to talk about something that might feel a little uncomfortable. It's about why you're looking for clients in the first place. Because here's what I've noticed. A lot of advisors, especially when they're trying to grow, start thinking of client acquisition as a numbers game. How do I get more people in the door? How do I close more sales? How do I fill my roster? And I get it. You have bills to pay, you want to grow, you've invested in learning these strategies, and you want to put them to work. There's nothing wrong with wanting a successful practice. But when you approach it that way, when client acquisition becomes about finding people to take money from, something breaks. The relationship starts wrong. And honestly, the clients can feel it. They can sense when they're being viewed as a transaction rather than a person that you're trying to help. I've been on both sides of this. Early in my practice, I was so focused on hitting revenue targets and surviving that I took on anyone who could pay. I was mentally calculating lifetime value before I even understood their situation. I'd be in a discovery call and part of my brain was already doing the math on what services I could sell them. And you know what? Those client relationships were always harder. More friction, more scope creep, more feeling like I had to justify my existence every month. The clients who came in during that phase were more likely to question fees, more likely to push boundaries, more likely to leave. It wasn't until later that I realized the problem wasn't them, it was me. I was attracting a certain type of relationship because of the energy I was bringing to the search. Today, I want to reframe how you think about this entire process, because finding clients isn't about extraction. It's about alignment. Let's get into it. Here's what finding clients is actually about. It's finding people you can deliver a massive amount of value to at a price that allows both parties to win. Let me say that again. Both parties win. This isn't charity work. You're not sacrificing yourself for them. I've seen advisors who undercharge, overdeliver, burn themselves out, and then resent their clients for it. They're working nights and weekends, answering texts at all hours, taking on scope they never agreed to, all because they feel guilty charging what they're worth. That's not service. That's martyrdom, and it doesn't help anyone. You end up exhausted and bitter. The client ends up with an advisor who's running on fumes. Nobody wins. But I've seen the other side too. Advisors who view every client interaction as a chance to upsell, who recommend strategies based on what generates fees rather than what actually serves the client, who talk about maximizing client lifetime value, like they're running a subscription box company instead of a professional practice. That's not advising, that's sales. And clients figure it out eventually. They start to wonder if your recommendations are really in their best interest or just in yours. Trust erodes. The relationship becomes transactional. And transactional relationships don't last. The sweet spot is in the middle. You charge enough to do excellent work without resentment. They pay enough that they take the engagement seriously and get genuine value. Everyone walks away better off than they started. And this sounds simple, but it's surprisingly hard to find. Most advisors are stuck on one side or the other. Either they're undercharging and overworking, or they're chasing revenue and losing sight of why they got into this work in the first place. And this is why niching matters so much more than advisors realize. It's not just about marketing, it's about being able to deliver genuine value. In the last episode, I talked about niching from a marketing perspective. It makes you easier to find, easier to refer, and easier to charge premium fees. All that's true, but there's a deeper reason to niche that I didn't fully get into. When you niche, you can actually deliver more value. Think about it. If you work with influencers all day, every day, you start to see patterns. You know the common mistakes before they make them. You know which strategies actually work for their business model and which ones are hype. You know the questions they should be asking but aren't. You've seen what happens when an influencer scales from 200 to 500,000 without adjusting their entity structure. You've watched creators get crushed by self-employment tax because nobody told them about S-Corp election timing. You know exactly which retirement plan works best for someone with variable income and no employees. You become genuinely more valuable to them than a generalist could ever be. Not because you're smarter, not because you have more credentials, because you have context they can't get anywhere else. That context is everything. When a client asks you a question, you're not starting from scratch. You're drawing on dozens of similar situations you've already navigated. Your advice is better because it's informed by pattern recognition, not just textbook knowledge. That's why specialists are chosen and generalists are tolerated. When someone hires a generalist, they're just hoping it works out. They're taking a chance. When someone hires a specialist, they're confident it will. They know you've solved their exact problem before. That confidence is worth paying for, and it's worth delivering on. But here's the part most advisors miss. To actually be that valuable, you have to do the work. You have to dig deep into your niche, learn their business models inside and out, understand their cash flow patterns, know what keeps them up at night, read what they read, listen to what they listen to, join their communities, talk to them constantly. You can't fake expertise. You have to earn it. And you earn it by immersing yourself in the world of the people you serve. I spend hours every week consuming content created for my niche, not tax content about their industry, their challenges, their aspirations. I want to understand their world so well that when we talk, I'm not just their tax advisor. I'm someone who genuinely understands what they're trying to build. And that investment pays off in ways that are hard to quantify. Clients trust you more. They implement your advice more readily. They refer you more enthusiastically. They stay longer, all because you took the time to actually understand them. So what does it actually look like to deliver massive value to your niche? Let me give you a few concrete examples. First, teach them how to build a better business based on what you see. You're in a unique position. You see inside dozens of businesses in your niche. You know what works and what doesn't. You see the patterns that lead to success and the patterns that lead to struggle. Most of your clients are operating in isolation. They're heads down in their own business doing their own thing. They don't have the bird's eye view you have. They can't see that the clients who are thriving all share certain characteristics, or that the ones who are struggling all make the same mistakes. When you can say, hey, I've noticed something. The clients of mine who are thriving right now all have this one thing in common. That's incredibly valuable. Maybe it's that they all have 3 months of operating expenses in reserve. Maybe it's that they all take a real salary instead of just distributions. Maybe it's that they all have a bookkeeper handling the day-to-day so they can focus on their revenue. It's not tax advice, it's business intelligence. And it comes from your vantage point. No one else can offer that perspective, not their mastermind group, not their business coach, just you, because you're the one seeing the actual numbers across dozens of similar businesses. I had a client last year who was frustrated that his revenue was up, but he felt broker than ever. When I looked at his situation alongside others in my practice, the pattern was obvious. Revenue goes up and the spending goes up faster. They feel like they've made it, so they start spending on things that actually don't move the needle. Call it vanity spend. New office, nicer car, upgraded everything, but they don't budget for retirement contributions. They don't set aside money for the strategies that would actually reduce their tax burden. And then April hits, and they're staring at a tax bill they can't pay. I know an advisor who works with content creators. High income, young, sudden success. The problem they run into is that they can't always control the conversation enough to get them to save for their tax bills. They see the money hit their account, boom, it's gone. By the time we're talking about strategy, there's nothing left to strategize with. I've helped clean up a few of those messes, people with very large balances owed to the IRS, payment plans, penalties, the whole disaster. It's not the advisor's fault. They gave them good advice. But if the client won't implement, there's only so much you can do. That's the kind of insight that only comes from depth. A generalist might eventually figure it out for one client. A specialist sees it coming for all of them. Second, help them optimize their cash flow so they have money available for strategies. Here's a dirty secret about tax strategy. Half of it doesn't matter if the client doesn't have cash flow to execute. You can recommend a retirement plan contribution, but if they're living month to month, it's useless advice. You can talk about the Augusta rule, but if they don't have the cash to pay themselves rent, it's academic. You can explain cost segregation, but if they can't fund the study, it's just a nice idea. The advisors who deliver real value aren't just tax technicians. They help clients understand their numbers. They help them build cash reserves. They help them create the financial margin that makes strategy possible. This is where advisory becomes more than compliance. When you're helping a client understand why their revenue is up, but their cash is down, when you're showing them how their receivables are killing their liquidity, when you're helping them build a cash flow system that actually sticks, that's transformational. That's the kind of value that keeps clients for life. Third, keep them away from the dumb hype that doesn't actually serve them. You know what I'm talking about. The shiny strategies that sound amazing in a webinar or a reel, but don't actually fit the client situation. The aggressive positions that create more risk than savings. The tax secrets that are really just audit bait. Every few months, there's a new thing making the rounds on social media. Some strategy that promises massive savings with minimal effort. Your clients hear about it, they get excited, they come to you asking if they should do it. Part of your job is to be the voice of reason. To say, I know you heard about this strategy, but here's why it doesn't make sense for you. To explain the risks they're not seeing. To protect them from the promoters who don't have to live with the consequences. And that's not being negative. It's not being overly conservative. That's protecting your clients from themselves. And it's one of the most valuable things you can do. I've had clients come back and thank me later for talking them out of something. They saw a friend get audited, or they read about an abusive tax shelter getting shut down, and they remember the conversation we had where I said, this isn't right for you. That kind of trust doesn't come from selling them things. It comes from occasionally telling them no. Now, I'll be honest, I also have clients who push back on every suggestion I give them. Every single one. And here's what I tell them. The tax code incentivizes spending and investment in specific areas. Real estate, retirement, business equipment, research and development. If you're not willing to do any of those things, you're just going to pay the tax bills you rack up. That's not your advisor's fault. You have to play the game the government wants you to play, or they'll find a place to invest your money for you. You just might not like what they choose. Part of delivering value is being straight up with people about this reality. Some clients hear it and adjust. Others keep complaining about their tax bill while refusing to do anything about it. You can't force someone to implement, but you can make sure they understand the trade-off they're making. There's a phrase I keep coming back to. Be so good they can't say no. It's not about sales tactics. It's not about persuasion techniques. It's not about having the perfect pitch or the slickest proposal software. It's about being so clearly, obviously valuable that hiring you becomes the obvious choice. When you've niched down, when you've done the work to truly understand your client's world, when you're delivering insights they can't get anywhere else, when you're protecting them from bad decisions and helping them build better businesses, something shifts. You stop chasing clients. They start finding you. You stop justifying your fees. They stop questioning your fees. You stop competing with other advisors. There is no competition when you're the obvious choice for a specific type of client. This is the goal. Not to be the cheapest, not to be the most aggressive marketer, not to have the fanciest funnel or the best sales script, just to be so good, so specifically valuable to a specific group of people that choosing you is a no-brainer. I remember when this shift happened in my practice. I stopped having to convince people to work with me. The discovery calls changed completely. Instead of me selling them on why they should hire me, they were selling me on why I should take them as a client. They'd already decided. They just needed to make sure I had capacity. That's a completely different dynamic, and it comes from being genuinely, specifically valuable to the right people. Here's what that looks like practically. When someone in your niche asks their peers for a recommendation, your name comes up. Not as one option among many, as the option. Oh, you need a tax advisor? You have to talk to so-and-so. They're the one who works with people just like us. When a prospect gets on a call with you, they're not shopping. They're confirming. They've already heard about you. They've already seen your content. They know you understand their world. The call is just to make sure you're taking new clients and that the fit is right. When you send a proposal, it doesn't sit in limbo for weeks while they compare you to 3 other advisors. They sign it because they already know what they're getting. The fee isn't a point of negotiation. It's the price of admission to work with the obvious choice. And here's the thing. When you operate this way, work gets better. You're not dragging yourself through engagements with clients who don't value what you do. You're not dealing with constant pushback on fees or scope. You're not feeling like you have to prove yourself every month. You're working with people who sought you out, who trust your judgment, who actually implement your advice, and who appreciate what you do and tell other people about it. That's a sustainable practice. That's a practice that doesn't burn you out. That's a practice worth building. Let me get a little philosophical for a minute because I think this matters. The difference between finding people to take money from and finding people to deliver value to isn't just tactical. It's about who you want to be as a professional. When you're focused on extraction, every interaction becomes a calculation. What can I get from this person? How do I maximize this opportunity? That mindset is exhausting. It turns your practice into a constant hustle. When you're focused on value, the calculation flips. What can I give this person? How can I make their situation better? That mindset is energizing. It turns your practice into meaningful work. And I'm not saying you shouldn't care about money. You should. You have a business to run, but the money follows the value. When you're genuinely helping people, when you're delivering outcomes they can't get elsewhere, the money takes care of itself. This is also, frankly, how you build a reputation that lasts. Word gets around. People talk. If you're known as the advisor who actually helps, who gives straight talk, who puts clients first, that reputation compounds over years. If you're known as the advisor who's always selling something, that reputation compounds too, just in the opposite direction. Here's your Thrive takeaway for this episode. Stop looking for people to take money from. Start looking for people you can deliver massive value to at a price that works for everyone. That means niching, not just for marketing reasons, but because specialization is how you become genuinely valuable. You can't be world-class at serving everyone. You can be world-class at serving a specific group of people with specific needs. It means doing the real work to understand your client's world, immersing yourself in their industry, learning what they care about, understanding their challenges from the inside, not just the outside. It means delivering value beyond just tax compliance, teaching them, protecting them, helping them build better businesses based on the patterns you see across your client base. And it means being so good that hiring you becomes the obvious choice, not because of your marketing, because of your reputation. Here's what I want you to do this week. Think about the last 5 client conversations you had. Were you focused on what you could get from them or what you could give to them? Were you thinking about the fees and the upsells, or were you thinking about how to make their situation genuinely better? If you're honest with yourself and you don't love the answer, that's okay. Awareness is the first step. Start shifting. In your next client meeting, go in with one question. What does this person actually need from me right now? Not what can I sell them? What do they need? Think about your niche. Are you deep enough to deliver the kind of value we've been talking about? Do you understand their world well enough to see patterns, to anticipate problems, to offer insights they can't get elsewhere? If not, that's your homework. Spend an hour this week consuming content made for your niche, not about tax, but about their industry and their challenges. Start building that context. This isn't just a better marketing strategy. It's a better way to practice. It's more sustainable, more profitable, and a lot more fulfilling. If you want to go deeper on this, join us in the Thrive Advisor Collective. It's where we help advisors build practices that are genuinely valuable to the people they serve. Not guru tactics, just sustainable, profitable, meaningful work. The link is in the show notes. And that's it for today, friends. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another advisor who needs to hear it. Someone who might be stuck in extraction mode and needs a different way to think about what we do. You've been listening to the Thrive Advisor podcast. Work smarter, serve better, thrive always. We'll see you next time.